previous speakers, and also acknowledge the Minister and congratulate him for getting this bill drawn. Also acknowledge, as Ingrid Lear has already said, that it's really great to work together on issues like this in a cross-partisan way, if we're able to. I think one of the the most special moments that I've had in the admittedly brief period of time that I've been in this House for was yesterday with the tributes to King Tuitea and how we all came together as a House and all came together to sing the Waita after I think I literally had tears in my eyes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what this bill does, and then I'm going to talk about what actually makes up components of good mental health, because I think it's really fantastic that we're moving towards a strategy, that this bill amends the Pae Ora Healthy Futures Act to better enable the long-term planning and delivery. That's important to mental health and addiction outcomes, and it's really important to take the long view when you're dealing with issues, particularly with mental health issues. There's things that you might invest in that will take a long time to bear fruit. Sometimes you might want to invest in things that won't obviously bear fruit for another couple of political cycles, and it would be a terrible thing, I'm sure we would all agree, for that thing, for long-term investments to get attacked on the basis that they're not delivering immediate outcomes. I think when it comes to thinking about issues like this, we need to make sure that we are thinking of the long game. And this bill does strengthen the commitment to mental health and well-being by requiring the Minister of Health to consult with the Mental Health and Well-being Commission in the preparation of strategic documents, including health strategies, the New Zealand Health Plan, and the government policy statement. It's really important that that when the government is and when the Minister of Health is actually preparing plans, that they consult with the wider sector and that they consult with the Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission, particularly when it comes to preparing those strategic long-term documents, because it's really important to get that kind of grassroots perspective. And there's a lot of work on this that's actually being done on the ground by volunteers or community groups that aren't necessarily resourced to do so. And I just want to acknowledge all the great mahi that goes on in the space, particularly from members of the community, to prepare and determine a mental health and well-being strategy. And I think that's one of the things that will make a really big and substantial difference, is actually having a strategy, having a sense of direction about where you might want to go in the future. Because if you don't have a strategy, if you're not planning for things, if you're not trying to plan in a kind of cross-partisan way, you're kind of setting up the process to be disjointed. You're setting up the process so that there's no coordination between all the kind of different arms of government, and you're setting it up so that it can get chopped and changed across the different political cycles. So that's fantastic. We've supported, the Green Party has supported this to select committee, and there were no significant issues identified at select committee. So we're going to continue supporting this bill, and I want to talk about what makes up, good mental health now, because, I want to acknowledge Ingrid Lear's contribution to this. I do think we definitely need to have a good workforce plan. We definitely need to ensure that the kind of pipeline issues are being resolved. But I think, and, I know the Minister will be thinking about this, I think a lot of strategies just fail at the kind of strategy phase because there's no implementation plan behind it. So we definitely... Exactly, Minister. And we definitely want to see resourcing behind it. And we want to see an acknowledgement of the kind of holistic things that make up health, including secure housing, including making sure that we've got a well-resourced public health system that can deal with people and pick up people when they're down. We want to make sure that there's jobs for our young people, and jobs for everyone really, that everyone can end up in secure, well-paid, well-remunerated employment where they're supported by strong unions and employers that recognize and value the contribution that they make. And I think one of the things that are most important is that we need to have a future worth belonging to in order so that our mental health can be in a kind of safe and stable way. Because there's a lot of things out in the world that are alarming young people, alarming everyone across the board. There's the genocide that's ongoing in Gaza, there's the climate crisis that's ongoing, and we need to be seen, we need to be actually working to resolve those issues, because otherwise it's just band-aid solutions after band-aid solutions. So thank you so much for acknowledging my call, and thank you so much for all the previous speakers in the House. The Greens are looking forward to working with this government and continuing to work with a cross-party group on mental health to continue advancing mental health solutions in a cross-partisan way. Thank you.
Well, I think what is happening with this show is we're showcasing politicians who are not always seen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going through some of the comments on there about never heard of Francisco Hernandez, which he's kind of an interesting way of ending up in Parliament, because if it wasn't for Efeso Collins' death, he possibly wouldn't be there now.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one of how he ended up on there. And for the ones who sit there and say they're about Kiwi Skirt, about being, what do you call it, a mod on our platforms, just to let you know, there would be considered 2 tiers of mods. So Kiwi Skirt is a YouTube moderator for our shows, but we're broadcasting to multiple platforms, while at the same time, my co-chair to Some Ballot Productions and basically our executive producer, Stacey Ryan, she's the one who is the moderator on the Restream, which is the broadcasting software. So the one who's putting the names across the screen, that's all Stacey's good job. And can we give a round of applause to Stacey and the great hard work she makes to make this platform go around like crazy. Or likes, or thumbs up, or whatever you want in the chat. Francisco's response sounds very green.
Yeah, it's pretty green. I agree with what he said for the most part. I guess that's the cat out of the bag for where I sit politically. But yeah, the main thing that concerns me about this bill is the lack of Māori participation. In fact, looking through the bill, Māori have actually been removed, the term Māori. And I think that has to do in part with the dissolution or the dissolvement of the Māori Health Authority. But yeah, it's really interesting to see that there's been very little in the way of consideration for Māori people, considering that as a whole, Māori are more likely to be affected by suicidal ideation and to have problems with things like addiction. And I can go into a whole host of reasons as to why that is the case. I could be here all night. But yes, Māori are overrepresented, in low-income groups. They're more likely to work longer hours, face stress, and that stress contributes
Work, social hours.
Yep. And of course, they have less access to health. To help, many of them live in rural areas. So, it's like a huge topic that would require a lot of unpicking to get through. But yes, I would have liked to have seen Māori included in that.